presentations?
Yes.
We have it.
We do have a presentation, our annual budget presentation. Dog and pony show.
Would you like to get through this whole motion?
I'll go through it very quickly.
I'm trying to save you work.
Do I just tap the moves or get?
I got it. I think you can touch it.
So, welcome to the annual budget presentation. Those of you who are board members have sat through this for months now, so there's really nothing I'm going to say new tonight that you haven't heard already. This is more for the public. And we'll start with our budget goals. Every year before we create the budget, the first thing we talk about is what our goals are for that year. These are the 4 things that we put in the forefront in our minds when it came to creating a budget for this year. Obviously, first and foremost, always to have a superior academic and extracurricular program. Always, it's about the kids first. Second, we started this last year and we are absolutely going full forward on this again this year, is having opportunities and expanding them for all students, not just those who are going to college or the military, but those who are going into the workforce. Dr. Fitzpatrick is already thinking ahead about other CTE programs he can create and put in place. We are very excited about that. Once again, we're going to continue our technology initiatives. We committed to technology many years ago, and we benefited our students by doing that, and so we'll continue to keep up with that. And last but not least, we have some facility improvements. I think you all agree with me because we've talked about this. Given the responsibility of running a district like Delsea, we have a moral obligation to make sure that we maintain the facilities to a level that the taxpayers deserve. And taxes have been paid to this district for many, many years, so we want to make sure that facilities, when we finish with them and move on in our lives, are left as just in good shape as we receive them. How do we save? First of all, we want to know, are you saving any money? Are you doing anything to save money? Yes, we are doing everything in our life to save money, everything possible. You know about our transportation services. We share those with many districts. I don't know of any other district, perhaps other than special services, who might transport as many students as we do across the state and across the county for sure. We have at least, I think we said 16 transportation joints this year. We hope to have that next year or possibly even more. That saves money and it brings revenue into the district. So that's a huge cost saving issue. We run transportation services for Elk Township, for Clayton, and for Gloucester School District. So we are in charge of their transportation, even though they don't necessarily use our buses. But it's a way to save money, offsets the cost of our personnel to those districts, which is wonderful. We talk about this every year, Elk Township. There is not a single other service we can share with Elk Township. We share everything with them. Superintendent, assistant superintendent, business administrator, facilities manager, technology, director of CST, everything. And as far as I'm concerned, that saves both districts a lot of money. And even better, it aligns us into what I call a pre-K to 12 district, because Elk and Delsea are without a doubt a pre-K to 12 district without any breakage in between. We share, Elk shares with us their evaluation research coordinator, and so we take advantage of their facilities as well. Franklin Township, we share our, this year we had to increase the cost a little bit because we were kind of finding ourselves a little bit in the red, so they have agreed to do that, but it's once again a shared cost. The same folks do both districts, which is also helpful when it comes to the transition between the districts. Tech knows what they have, they know what we have, and they can kind of make that join together. And of course, we belong to the school health insurance fund, which every year saves us, for the most part, money on previous things. What's new in 22-23, we're going to continue our choice school status. I believe currently we have 60 choice students. They come with full funding from the state, so that is something that is an absolute wonderful revenue enhancement as well, because we never had to hire new teachers. We were able to fit them in with our current staff, so that's a bonus for us.
How many students? Pardon me, how many students?
I want to say we have about 60, I think.
Okay. That's a lot more than last year?
No, it's about the same.
Thank you.
We also have a waiting list for kids trying to get in, so that's a great sign as well. We are continuing to work on structured work experiences for our students. We have Mr. Daigle, who literally finds work experiences for our kids to go in the afternoon. He can go visit them and check on them and So we're getting our kids in the workforce prior to them even graduating, which is helpful to them. And of course, we're creating additional trades classes. You know about our construction class. We added a second teacher last year. That was wonderful. And next year, like I said, we just had a conversation today and we have some ideas about what's coming up for our kids in that area. Joe, hope you do the numbers.
Yep, okay. I'm going to talk about the number portion of the budget. Budget essentially, in its basic form, revenue has to equal expenditures. Very simple. What we have here is a comparison between last year and this year. The budget's also broken into 3 separate funds: operating fund, debt service fund, and a special revenue fund, which is grants and entitlements from federal and state sources. You'll see the differences. There's another slide later, but you'll see a slight increase in our operating income, our operating fund, from increased state aid, which was extremely helpful this year because one of the byproducts of this environment that we're in, called COVID environment, and you all, I'm sure everybody's filled up their car with gas in the last couple of weeks. Gas prices are through the roof. All petroleum products are through the roof. Workers, there's been a shortage of the workforce, period, in the world. What happens when there's a shortage? There's a high demand, supplies low, prices go up. Fuel prices alone have gone up this year. We're already overexpended from what we budgeted. What other petroleum products we have? Tires for petroleum products. Anything related to petroleum products, the price has skyrocketed. Salaries, again, supply and demand. I'll give you a great example, bus drivers across the country, not just our state, not just us, across the country. Bus drivers are in huge demand, huge. What do we have to do to draw these people in? Increase the salaries, get more people in. So the increase in state aid timing was perfect for us this year, thankfully. Repayment of debt, just like the mortgage on your house, each year it goes down, more with your principal. So that's the second group. Grants and entitlements. These are monies from federal and state sources. Majority of the grants and entitlements in our funds are from the federal sources. It's down a little bit this year, but if you remember last year with all the COVID money that we got from the federal government, the number is a little higher last year. So this year it's gone down a little. Bottom line is our total budget, $42 million and some change. So again, primary, basic, simple budget. Revenue has to equal expenditures. Here's a descriptive pie chart of our revenue. You see where they come from. You're going to see 2 big pieces, here and here. There are 2 big sources of revenue. They come from state aid and they come from property taxes. Now, this bigger one over here, okay, that's property taxes, almost 42%. State aid, 38%. Essentially, that's our revenue source. We have basically 2 sources. We do have, as Dr. Graver mentioned, we do have some miscellaneous revenue sources such as transportation revenue, tuition revenue. We all know about the agreement we have with Newfield, but essentially, property taxes and state aid make up our budget. You'll see that the total, again, we're just talking about the operating fund here, not the entire budget. That was 42, the operating was at 39. We are presenting a 2% increase this year of $324,000, 2% increase in the property tax level, which is the maximum which we can go to. Here's a detail of our state aid increase. You'll see it was an additional $567,000 in state aid, which again, timing is perfect. Like I said earlier, an incredible amount of increase in salaries. Not incredible, but an increase in salaries, an increase in fuel costs, an increase in tuition costs when we send a child out to a private school for the disabled. Again, their salary costs have gone up. So what happens? They pass that back on to us. We're sending our child there, the tuition goes up. Again, a perfect storm, perfect time for this increase in state aid. Here's our other side. Revenue has to equal expenditures, like we said. Here's a detail of our expenditures. You'll see where we are spending our money. The categories on the right-hand side, they're broken down based on the state of New Jersey's chart of accounts. You can see that where they are, and where we're charging, where we're expending our money in those chart of accounts. Okay. This here is that same chart we saw a couple seconds ago. Okay, but what I've done is I've pulled out salary which is this big slice over here, and benefits, which is the second big slice over here. All right? What that shows is that, look, almost 49% goes to salary, and then another 12.5% go to benefits, right off the get-go from our budget. That's taken out. That doesn't include transportation, that doesn't include tuition, that doesn't include supplies, that doesn't include maintenance, doesn't include the grounds. We still have a tremendous amount of our operating that we have to budget for, but those two pieces are already taken out before we start. One of the things you may have heard of is Chapter 44. One of the slides before that benefits, health benefits is included in that. Over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of discussion about contributions to health insurance from the employees. Recently, as of January 1st, 2021, new legislation was put into place called Chapter 44, which changed how they contribute to the health insurance plan. What it has done is as the premiums have lowered a little, but the contributions have also lowered from our employees for those who chose to go into the plan. So what does it mean? That means less contributions from the employees to the district, which means we're paying more of the premiums. What the overall increase was, what I had done here in the bottom, you'll see that 1.55% as the premium of the employees' contribution, it has decreased. So again, that's more money that the district has to put out. Another thing, what we have done here, as Dr. Graver mentioned previously, about our facilities. Our state, what we have a project going on, has two buildings. One, what we hope to have going on, what's presently out for pricing. Over at the stadium, the one building we have not used for over a year and a half. We can't. It's been essentially closed down. It needs a tremendous amount of repairs. It's an old building, and we're not going to put new money into an old building and repair it. So what we've done is we pulled money for our capital reserve, and we have a plan to replace those buildings over at the football stadium. And the other piece of that project is we're going to be adding bathrooms to the other side, outdoor bathrooms to the other side of campus, coming off the back of the locker rooms. So there's two buildings that we're going to hopefully build over the summer and maybe into the fall, hopefully not too much into the fall. But that money's coming out of our capital reserve. That's money that we've set aside over the last 10 or 12 years for a project. It's not affecting the tax rate. It's not in the calculation of the tax rate. If we take those projects out, your tax rate's gonna stay the same, okay? But those projects are being hopefully done, like I said, over the summer and into the fall. What I have here is the state of New Jersey compiles information from around the state for similar districts like ours. Okay, there's 46 districts that are considered limited, regional, 7 to 12. If you look all the way to your right, unfortunately, the state's a little behind in their compiling of information, so all I have is 1920. But what I've done is taken the last one available and compared it to what we're proposing in 22-23. Okay? You'll see where we are in comparison. Again, this is 3 years ago, really. But what our ranking was as of 1920, where we are this year. Some of the numbers are less than what they were in 1920. Some obviously with the increase in cost would be a little higher, but still not a tremendous change from where we were 3 years ago as far as numbers. We maintain where we are, and we try to do that with everything. Far right, you'll see, like I said, 46 districts similar to ours. You'll see our ranking, lowest being 1, highest being 46. There's only one, most of ours, we're in the bottom half of the state, really, except for one, purchase services. But part of purchase services is we have an agreement to bring in aides, classroom aides, substitute teachers, and things like that. So, but again, we're at the bottom half. We're at the bottom half of the state when it comes to comparative comparison. So what does this all mean? What does it mean for your property taxes, which is what everyone's asking? With the budget we're presenting for Elk Township, per $100 of assessed value, we are looking at an increase of 4 cents. For Franklin Township, we're looking at an increase of 1.25 cents per $100. So here's a real quick calculation of how it would affect. Now understand something too. This is only an estimate. I do not have the final assessed valuation numbers yet. This is an estimate based on what we have now. It'll be very close. I don't see a lot of huge changes, but it's still an estimate. It could vary a little bit. What does it look like? An average home, an average assessed home in Elk Township is $209,000 and some change. That household will pay an additional $83.84 per year or next year for Delsea's regional tax. Franklin Township, on an average assessed home, is looking at $235 per year. Again, based on the assessed valuation. What does 1 penny mean? Okay, for Elk Township, 1 penny means 321,000 and change, and Franklin Township means 334,000 and some change. For senior citizens, property tax freeze, regardless, it does not matter what the school tax is. If the property tax status is frozen, it will not go above that amount. I know you have to pay first, and then it's reimbursed to you, but your property taxes will not increase, providing your income's under 94,000 and change. Okay? Any questions?